Good morning, friends. We are continuing on with our fairy tale unit today. So the story we're reading today is The Little Red Riding Hood. I want you to tell your grown-up what part of the book is this. The back cover. What part of the book is this? The spine. What part of the book is this? The front cover. What part of the book is this? The title page. And what part of the book are all of these? These are the pages. Nice work, friends. So now, let's make a prediction about what we think Little Red Riding Hood is going to be about. I see on the cover that there's a little girl, and I see that there is a big bad wolf, and it looks like they might be outside. So I'm going to predict. I think that this little girl is going to be scared by the big bad wolf. So go ahead, make a prediction to your grown-ups. I think. Okay, let's see if your prediction is right. Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived with her mommy in a cottage on the edge of a big forest. Whenever the little girl went outside to play, she wore a beautiful red cloak that her grandma made just for her. It had a big red hood, so everyone called her the little girl, Little Red Riding Hood. So friends, why was she called Little Red Riding Hood? What did she wear when she went outside? She wore her red cloak with a big hood. And who made her cloak for her? Her grandma did. Nice job. One day, Little Red Riding Hood's mom asked her to take a basket of food to Grandma. Grandma isn't feeling well, Mommy explained, and I'm sure she'd love to see you. Grandma lived on the other side of the forest, so Mommy drew a map on a piece of paper so that Little Red Riding Hood wouldn't get lost. So here's the map that her mom drew for her. And remember, don't talk to any strangers along the way, said Mommy. She helped Little Red Riding Hood into her cloak, and Little Red Riding Hood took the basket of food and skipped into the forest. So here she goes. She's going to use her map, and she's going to try to find Grandma's house and give her the food to make her feel better. I'm looking at the picture on this page. What is the setting going to be? Is the setting inside? Is the setting outside? Where do you think it's going to take place? Let's see. A book could have more than one setting too if it takes place in more than one spot. On the way, Little Red Riding Hood saw some beautiful blue flowers. Grandma might like these, she thought, as she bent down to pick a handful of flowers. She didn't realize someone was in the forest. "Hello, little girl," said a deep, growly voice. Little Red Riding Hood jumped with fright. Who is scaring Little Red Riding Hood right now? The big, bad wolf. A big wolf peered out from behind one of the trees. "Oh, hello," replied Little Red Riding Hood, smiling at the wolf. She had already forgotten her mommy's warning. "Where are you going?" growled the wolf. "I'm visiting my sick grandma who lives on the other side of the forest," said Little Red Riding Hood. "Ah, "What a kind girl you are," smiled the wolf, showing his razor-sharp teeth. Uh-oh. Should Little Red Riding Hood be talking to the big bad wolf right now? No, her mom told her not to talk to strangers, and that meant any animals along the way. So I'm looking at the picture, and the words told me that she was walking through a forest to get to her grandma's house. So I'm thinking that the setting right now is in the forest. Just then, the wolf's tummy gave a loud, grumbly growl. "What was that?" asked Little Red Riding Hood. It's just some thunder over the hills," said the sneaky, hungry wolf, as he ran away as fast as he could to the grandma's cottage. Uh-oh. What do you think the big bad wolf wants to do with Little Red Riding Hood? Oh no, we're gonna have to find out. The hungry wolf peered through Grandma's window and saw the old lady in bed. With a loud howl, the wolf dashed into the cottage, gobbled up the grandma in one large gulp. Then the wolf put on Grandma's spare nightcap and glasses, clambered into her bed, and pulled the quilt up to his chin. Now, all he had to do was wait for Little Red Riding Hood to arrive. Uh-oh. Who did the wolf eat? He ate her grandma. That is so sad. And now, who's he waiting for? Little Red Riding Hood. And he's going to take a big gulp. When Little Red Riding Hood reached the cottage, she was surprised to find the front door wide open. "Grandma!" she called. "Are you there?" "I'm in the bedroom," replied the wolf in a strange wobbly voice. Little Red Riding Hood went into the bedroom and gasped when she saw her grandma. She kind of looked sort of different. Why does she look different to Little Red Riding Hood, who's actually in her bed? The wolf. "Grandma must be very sick," thought Little Red Riding Hood. "I hope it isn't catching." "What big eyes you have, Grandma," she said as she went over to the bed. "Oh, the better for seeing you with," the wolf replied in a wobbly voice. "Grandma, what big ears you have," Little Red Riding Hood added, moving closer. "Oh, the better for hearing you with," said the wolf with a grin. "My, what big teeth you have, Grandma," shuddered the Little Red Riding Hood. "Oh, the better for eating you with." Oh no! Little Red Riding Hood screamed and tried to run away fast, but the hungry wolf was too fast. He leaped out of bed and gulped her up in one single gulp. A passing woodcutter heard Little Red Riding Hood scream and ran into the cottage. When he saw the wolf's enormous belly, he guessed what had happened. He picked up the wolf and shook him hard. Little Red Riding Hood and Grandma flew out of the wolf's mouth. Luckily, they weren't hurt, but they were very cross. So who helped to save Grandma and Little Red Riding Hood? The wolf cutter who was passing by the cottage. Thank goodness for the wolf cutter. The wood cutter, not wolf cutter. The wood cutter. Grandma, Little Red Riding Hood, and the wood cutter chased the wolf into the forest and over the hill. The embarrassed wolf never came back again. Little Red Riding Hood never spoke to strangers again. The end. So, who can tell me what happened at the end of the story? You're right. Little Red Riding Hood and Grandma got out safe because of the wood cutter, and the wolf ran off, frightened and scared. And Little Red Riding Hood learned never to talk to strangers, including the wolf. So can you tell your grown-up what is the setting of the story? Where is the story taking place? The story is taking place in the forest. And tell your grown-ups, who is the story about? Who are the characters in the story? They have Grandma, Little Red Riding Hood, and the big wolf. So, the lesson in the story is never talk to strangers. Be careful where you're going, and make sure you have an adult with you if you're going far away. So that way you stay safe. And thank goodness for the Good Samaritan, the woodcutter, who helped Grandma and Little Red Riding Hood escape from the wolf. So that was our fairy tale for today, friends. I will see you tomorrow with a new fairy tale.